Hey guys, this is a start to a new series I'm trying out. I'm going to try and review every game on Xbox Game Pass. Obviously, I'll be avoiding some AAA titles and hyper popular titles that have been reviewed and covered into oblivion. And I've been on the fence about doing this project for a while now because a lot of titles on Game Pass have been out for years already and they kind of already have like cemented fan bases. However, a good amount of the original reviews that were done on release before patches and updates, as well as being reviewed as titles that you would have to pay for. So I wanted to try this review series to be geared more towards the idea of like, is this worth downloading and trying out? So I won't be spending a ton of time playing the games, nor will I be trying to like complete them or 100% anything. I'm more so approaching it as like, I'm a consumer and a subscriber to Game Pass, and as you probably know, there's just so many games on Game Pass that it's bordering on overwhelming. And in my opinion, it can have kind of the Netflix effect where I sit down wanting to try something new, but then I end up exhausted by the amount of options and choose nothing instead. And this is all affected by and even hurt by Xbox's abysmal rating and review system, where frequently I'll see something that looks interesting to me and I might want to try out, and it'll have 4 reviews, 3 of which are 1-star ratings that feel like they were written by a 3-year-old during a temper tantrum, and you don't end up walking away with any sort of actual information on whether or not the game's good or bad, or even worth trying out. The first review that I wanted to do was kind of a tough one to choose from, so I decided to choose a game that Xbox actually recommended in its highlights. At the top of Xbox Game Pass, I decided to choose The Wild at Heart. The Wild at Heart is a indie title that was released on May 19th, so pretty recent as far as Game Pass games go, and definitely a more recent one in the Game Pass lineup. And it was developed by Moonlight Kids and published by Humble Games. As a disclaimer, I spent the first half hour or so trying to get past what I thought was the first level, and it turned out to be a game-breaking glitch where I was playing in a cutscene environment, and I just was kicking and using the vacuum to try to find a way out, and it wasn't until I searched up a tutorial on YouTube and found out that I wasn't supposed to be in that environment at all, and so I reloaded the game and continued onward. The Wild at Heart puts you in the shoes of Wake, a child with a very custom, very obviously Ghostbusters as hell vacuum suck machine, and the game opens with Wake running away from home to go on an adventure and then getting lost, obviously, as kids do. He got lost. Eventually, Wake finds a weird, definitely not doing anything weird at all, in the woods old guy who gives you a magic crystal so he can keep tabs on you. Not weird at all. That's where the game essentially just turns into a 2D Pikmin game. It's when you meet the Wild at Heart's version of Pikmin, little creatures that dwell deep in the woods, and they follow you, and you can order them around. You can throw them at things that you want like moved, broken, or killed. You collect resources, and then you grow more two-dimensional Pikmin. And honestly, none of that is necessarily a bad thing. As a huge fan of the Pikmin games, it's honestly nice to see a game with similar puzzle solving and strategy mechanics to Pikmin. However, it's kind of unnervingly similar. I mean, just look at them. The Wild at Heart honestly feels like a game made by a team of people that just said like, hey, what if Pikmin kind of looked like Don't Starve? And then they went to work. Honestly, where it stands out most is with its delightfully immersive and kind of eerie scoring. The music does a fantastic job of kind of keeping you wanting to explore more and venture out further into the world. Another hit for me is the art style. I know I compared it to Don't Starve, and I stand by that. It really does look like a more colorful, more upbeat Don't Starve, and that's a compliment. Don't Starve has a phenomenal aesthetic, and that being said, it kind of pains me to say that while playing this game, it felt like while I was playing The Wild at Heart, all of the positives that I noticed were when I was like, oh, this is like X game, you know? It doesn't really do anything new or exciting. Wake, the protagonist of the story, is a fairly generic and uninteresting character, and the narrative is consistently carried by weird old men that he just keeps meeting in the woods. He also, obviously, this being a Pikmin game, feels useless most of the time. I mean, Wake can jog around, kick rocks, and suck things. Eventually, Wake does get the ability to suck harder, which is a bonus, but like I said, this is a Pikmin game, and Wake is supposed to be useless. Overall, the game was fun and had me engaged. I don't love it, and I probably won't make the time to try and complete it. That's coming from somebody who really loved the series that it was trying to emulate. It doesn't totally feel like a knockoff, but it does leave something to be desired. To be fair, I didn't play super far into the game, so perhaps there are more unique mechanics that are introduced later on, but as somebody who just kind of jumped in to give it a try, there wasn't really a huge hook to keep me invested. It felt like I had played it before. Now, that's pretty unfair because AAA titles mimic each other all the time and seem to receive rave reviews when new IPs are kind of slammed for trying to break the mold, but it's how I felt while I was playing it. I mean, I liked it, and if you enjoy puzzle solvers and have been craving like a Pikmin style game, then I would say absolutely give it a try. It's fun and engaging, and it really does that Minion Master Adventure game style well enough to be considered worth a download. And if any of those words sound appealing to you, especially Minion and Master, then it's definitely worth trying out.
But she pulling out her buns. All of this bread won't be leaving any crumbs. Sloppy Joe, sloppy hoe, I think I got the runs. Fucking on the back porch and cooking in the sun. Pillaging the pussy like I'm a